All right, well, let's begin. Thank you, everyone, for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us for this webinar. We have some exciting topics to talk about, and we have a good lineup of presenters. My name is Dean Kunish. I'm with PG&E's EV customer programs. I'm an EV fleet advisor. I've been helping transit and our commercial customers for a little more than 6 years, almost 7 years now. Let's talk about our agenda here today. So first, I'll go over safety. I've got a nice little safety slide for you. And then Pat's going to be talking about her electrification of the Soltrans facility. And then we've got Brandon. He's going to talk about our new EV fleet advisory services. And then Jacob's going to be talking about our tried and true EV fleet program. It's definitely been a star program for our customers to help them with electrification. And then I'm looking to do about 10 minutes for Q&A. And we want to get all your questions answered and any follow-up that we need to do. Okay? Yes. So moving on.
So, Dean, I'm sorry to interrupt. So maybe before we start, I also kind of want to talk a little bit about why we're having this webinar today. So this is a part of the collaboration between PG&E, transit agencies, and the CARB. And all the transit agencies that are potentially in PG&E service areas, or if your fleet is kind of located in a co-op that's surrounded by PG&E service area, you're all invited. We're also hoping that this is just, a start of a series of conversations that at the end of this webinar, just as Dean said, that there's going to be Q&A session, but we also want to hear from you about moving forward. What other topics would you like to hear from this PG&E group, and also how you would like to see the state CARB we collaborate with PG&E to make sure that our transportation electrification process is smooth, and also it can be seamlessly incorporated into your fleet deployment. We are also giving a special shout out to Patricia today to share their Soltrans experience. So without further ado, Dean, I'm sorry for the interruption. I just want to maybe hand this back to you. Thanks.
It's all good. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. All right. Let's talk about be safe this summer. I wanted to start off things a little light before we get into the heavy content. So certainly when you're out traveling, having vacations with your family, with children, grandchildren, be aware that you're going to be in some new places, out in the woods, places you haven't been before. And bees and yellow jackets and hornets, they like to set up their homes in these areas here. If someone gets stung, you can have a minor reaction, which results in swelling and painness and redness. But if they have a severe reaction, it can also close off their airway, and you need to seek medical attention and dial 911 and get that addressed. So with that, all of us, except for Pat, are going to go off camera, and Pat's going to share with us her journey.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Pat Carr, and I am currently the project manager for this electrification project. Prior to this, actually since last October, for 8 years prior, I was the general services manager for Soltrans as well. I've been very passionate about this project. It started a while back in 2014. Next slide. Okay, a little bit about Soltrans for those of you who don't know. We are a small agency. We have 14 employees. We service Solano County for the regional transit. However, we also serve the cities of Vallejo and Benicia with local transit. About our fleet, we currently have 10 battery electric buses, and we have another 14 that are on order that should be delivered over the next 2 years. And our CNG fleet, CNG and diesel fleet are over-the-road motor coaches. Those will probably be replaced with hydrogen fuel cell buses in the future, probably starting around 2029, 2030. Next slide. One of the things is when you start, you have a goal. What is it we want to do? What is we want to create? So one of the things looking at back in 2016, 17, we said we wanted to have 100% battery electric buses by 2033. And we also knew that we had to have a way to charge them. So we wanted a future-ready electric charging infrastructure design. We wanted to make sure it was scalable. And we also wanted to make sure we had renewable electric energy. Really good goals. As you know, at 2014, 15, it's now 10 years later. And so we had to update some of our goals. Next slide. I think the main change that we made was looking at the fact that battery electric buses probably would not have the range necessary for our regional fleet, And so we're looking at adding a mixture of hydrogen fuel cell buses to our mix, which means we also need to have, in addition to our electric charging infrastructure, we need to look at how we're going to have the hydrogen fueling. We also still want to make sure we use a renewable electricity, and we'll be probably partnering with PG&E for that as well. And the other thing that we wanted to do is add some energy storage and solar energy to our project. We originally had that. We had to take that out of our budget, but it's something we really want to make sure we do. The resiliency piece of it is really critical as we get into wildfire season and such, and we have issues with power. Next slide. This is a little bit about starting. So preparing for the project, this is kind of a little fun slide, but it kind of tells you our journey. One of the first things we did with our wonderful Soltrans board is we started talking about this in 2014, about what we wanted to do, where we wanted to go with this electrification. We also had to look at our facilities. We have a bus yard, and we have a downtown Vallejo Transit Center. We needed to make sure that we had the facilities available to do the electrification. We then communicated goals to our partners. We talked to people in the community. We wanted to make sure that our employees were aware of where we were going, what we wanted to do. And then it became a matter of educating ourselves. There was Sunline Transit and other transit agencies that had started doing that. We visited transit agencies. We did webinars, or we listened to webinars like this to make sure that we kind of knew where we were going to go. Then we engaged with a firm to do the actual design. And we also engaged with CTE to do role modeling. The most important thing I would say about this project as we went through is staying in touch with your partners. And we're looking at staying in touch with our utilities, with in any of our funding partners and other folks, letting people know where we are with the project. Next slide. So what I want to do is talk about the initial design that Soltrans decided to do. We knew that we had a bus yard. It's about 3 acres, and we did not want to expand the bus yard to accommodate electrification. So we went to an overhead gantry system, and this is kind of a bird's eye view of that design. The concept for that came from, as I said, I was in aviation before that. I wanted to have the buses parked underneath a gantry and have the a plug-in dispenser come down for that. So if you're looking at this site, we have the maintenance building that houses the shop. At the top of the design, that is the overhead gantry. The center has a concrete mezzanine where the power blocks are, and the dispensers will actually be suspended overhead. On the left, you see where we had a smaller area. That was for paratransit. We ended up not using that design when we went into construction. Next slide. This is kind of the ground level view of the design. As you can see, those yellow little blocks represents the buses, and above the purple area represents the charging blocks, and then we have the dispensers. Just kind of a bird's eye view of the conceptual design. Next slide. This is today. This is what it looks like. We have the dispensers ahead above the buses. We actually have the charging cables on electric hoists. Those come down with sensors. Next slide. And these are the sensors. As the bus pulls into the bay, the charging cables come down, and they do plug in so that they can be plugged into the bus itself. This allows everything to be up and out of the way. The reason for this design, not only to save space, but as we know, it's not a matter of if someone will run into something, it's when, and we wanted to make sure that all of the charging equipment was out of the way. Next slide. Okay, I wanted to talk a little bit just about integrating. What we did with this design is we integrated some public art into the charging infrastructure. The power cabinets above the buses were seen from the street, and we needed to make sure that we had some kind of screening, and we engaged with a local artist. This is actually chain link with privacy slats, and this is the design that they put up. And what it's nice about this is from the surrounding neighborhood, they actually have to be able to look at some great art. Next slide. This is how it does look above the charging infrastructure. All that mess underneath we have cleaned out now, but this is what it looks like once it's installed. Next slide. PG&E, once we got everything together, I want to reach out to them and say thank you to them. They actually came out with the whole crew, put out another power pole in order to energize this, our project. Next slide. Lessons learned. I think this is probably the most critical part of the presentation. One thing is we decided to go above ground. However, in order to put in the piers, they had to go down 20 feet. When you dig underground, be prepared for surprises and be prepared to increase your budget. The property that we were on apparently used to be part of agriculture. We found stock tanks, we found watering tanks underneath. So we had to have that cleared out. A lot of surprises. The second challenge we have, and it's still a challenge today, is the supply chain issues. Suppliers were not able to get things to us on time, not for the contractor. This project was supposed to be done in 2024. So we are over a year past the initial, not really a deadline, but what we thought the project would be done. The third point is make sure that your contract manager is experienced in all aspects of electrification. One thing we're finding is that we may have people who are very good at managing projects for building. However, when you're looking at infrastructure for electrification, it requires a little bit different skill set. It was critical at this point also to maintain good relationships with our contractors, our bus operators. The maintenance staff was amazing in making sure that things went on, because we actually had to do the construction while we had a full operation going on with the buses. And we never had any delays. There was no impact to the service at all while the construction was going on, but it meant that we had daily communications and good cooperation between the construction crews, between the engineers and between our maintenance staff and between our operators. The next issue is also, as I mentioned, we are delayed. We want to make sure that we let PG&E know almost every month where we were with the project, and they were ready to energize. We just kept them saying, "Hey, this is a problem. This is a problem." And Kenneth Chang was our project manager, and we talked to him quite often. Also, our funding partners, letting them know, hey, we are delayed and this is why, and asking for extensions, and we were able to get some of those. And as long as we are transparent where we are, I think that made us successful. The other critical piece is letting everybody know what is happening with the project, both in our community, with our employees. And that's where important when we have a good public information officer that reaches out. And the third part is the last part is to be patient. That is a challenge for me. I know I want to get things done. Did have to be patient on this. And just to let you know where we are today, the structure is not energized. And it's not energized because there was a component in the switch gear that turned out to be defective. A new component will have to be manufactured, and we're looking at October before that will be in. So again, patience is critical for this. Next slide. Our next steps on this is once is energized, we are in the process of getting some charge management. As you know, it's critical that when you plug in all the buses at the same time, that they don't all charge at the same time. You need to make sure that you have some kind of charging that is sequential. Also, we want to energize the charging infrastructure. That's the next step, as I just pointed out. And we want to also add our energy storage and solar. So we're looking at applying for funding for that. And then planning for the future of hydrogen electric buses, both for facilities and for our fleet. Next slide. I think that's it.
Thank you, Pat. Appreciate it. That was some really good content there. So we're going to shift gears on our presenters, and Brandon, if you want to go ahead and turn on your camera, and Pat, you can turn off yours. Brandon, the show is all yours.
Hello, everybody, and thank you, Dean, for having me today, and thank you to our esteemed colleagues here at CalSTART. Looking forward to more of these presentations together. Again, my name is Brandon Smith from the EV Fleet Advisory Services facilitated by Pacific Gas and Electric Company. So we serve kind of as a concierge service for training, for education, for planning. So I'm really excited to talk to you a little bit more about our service today. Next slide, please. So again, the PG&E EV Fleet Advisory Service, we offer personalized guidance from a fleet advisor like myself. So somebody to really help you through this entire electrification journey. So whether you don't know how to spell the word electrification, you don't understand whether you need level 3, level 2, level 1 charging for your different operations, we are here to help with that, all the way up to a variety of things, including resiliency, site planning, doing capacity checks. So we offer a variety of services. And the best thing that I like to say to everyone is that it's all for free. This program is funded to help promote electrification, specifically within the medium and heavy duty space. So we have free services to promote these electrification. We don't necessarily deal with light duty fleets for this particular program, although we do have the capacity to engage with you on your off-road fleets. But during your full electrification journey, we try to look at the holistic picture, but the majority of our services are for medium and heavy duty vehicles. We are accepting applications now, as we've just launched the program fully in April of this year, and we are accepting applications through 2026. I advise you, just like with all things, if you are interested to get involved early, the more resources we have, some of them are first come, first serve, but we are happy to engage with all of you. Next slide, please. So again, we kind of started this program as an answer to a challenge we were having. We have another program, a sister program, which my colleague Jacob is going to talk to you all about in a bit. And that program has been running since 2018. That's our EV Fleet program, which helps actually get charging infrastructure in the ground for medium and heavy duty fleets. So with that, we realized that a lot of the clients that we were engaging with didn't have basic level education. Also, some clients that did have basic level education just needed additional information and planning and strategy to be able to fill in those gaps to execute their electrification journey. So we came up with the EV Fleet Advisory Services program to serve again as a liaison or a concierge for all of the different clients that we're dealing with, regardless of the stage that they're at with their electrification journey. Next slide, please. So we essentially look at the electrification customer journey in 4 phases. Just getting started, making a plan, your project is underway, and site is operational. So for just getting started, obviously that's the initiation. What do I need to know to even know about to get started? What are the resources that I need? So we really help you just to get that plan started, get you thinking about what is available for you out there and all the different factors and variables that go into your electrification journey. One of my favorite things that we offer is a fleet electrification 101 session where we really break down everything that there is to kind of know about fleet electrification, especially for the medium and heavy duty space, to get our clients started there. And of course, we offer services for people that are further along in their plan. So whether you need site assessments to understand capacity, do we have any capacity constraints, which in all honesty, only about 15% of our projects really ever do. So we like to say that. And we also help you with site design, vendor selection, which kind of chargers do I select? So we help with all these different programs and different things that go into that kind of process. When your project is underway, we also help you with maximizing your operations, whether you need to get your applications for service through the utility, which we work for, we can actually help you, kind of expedite that process and mitigate some of the struggle there. Site energization, we help you when your chargers are actually in the ground and start teaching you and helping you to develop plans for maximizing the efficiency there. And again, as we're looking at site as operational, whatever we can do to help you maximize those operations, get the best benefit from your chargers, and help with some of those more complex questions, we also assist with that. Next slide, please. So again, our advisors here are the stages, whether you're just getting started, making a plan, project is underway, site is operational, we do assist with all those different stages. Next slide, please. So let's get down to the nuts and bolts of this program. What do you need to do to be eligible for this program? All you have to do initially is be a PG&E non-residential, so we're talking commercial clients, electric served customer. So some of our customers are just served with gas. You have to be an electric served customer for this program. The other prerequisite is that you have to operate at least one medium or heavy duty vehicle. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about what that means in just a second. This does not mean that you have to have an electric vehicle already in your fleet. It just means that you just basically can't be somebody off the street. You have to have a current operation operating at least one medium or heavy duty vehicle. So typically when you're looking at medium and heavy duty vehicles, that's classified at a minimum of an 8,000 pound gross vehicle weight rating. However, we have a little bit more leniency with this program, and where medium and heavy duty vehicles start for us, we start classifying those at 6,500 pounds for the gross vehicle weight rating. So what that means directly for you is that with 8,000 pounds, you're usually not able to put like a Ford F-150 or Chevy Silverado into a program like this, but we do have a little more leniency to deal with lighter vehicles. So that just opens up the options for people that are eligible for this program. Last, you agree to our terms and conditions. We're not asking for a firstborn child or anything like that. Pretty simple terms and conditions there. Now, we also have full eligibility or just another tier of services that we can offer for schools, transit agencies, municipalities, and small businesses. So if you are definitely one of these demographics, it will be awesome for us to work with you as we're able to offer additional services that are really useful, especially for these type of businesses and entities. Next slide, please. So again, these are kind of the breakdown of the services that we offer. You'll see an asterisk mark to the end of some of those services, and those services are for full eligibility, but for basic eligibility, with basic eligibility, actually for the asterisk services. So we can perform, even if you're not one of the preferred demographics there, we can still have basic capacity checks. We offer different guidance. We can, again, help you get your service application through with PG&E, a variety of different things that we can answer, and just be a resource for different questions you may have. Believe me, every day, us in the industry, we're learning new questions, we're learning new things. So there are a lot of questions out there. You can use us as a resource to help answer those questions, or at least point you in the right direction to get those questions answered. And of course, if you do have full eligibility, you have the access to the full breadth of these services. So really great for opportunities for people to take advantage of these services. They are completely free. We do not charge you for any of these services. And we've seen that a lot of schools, a lot of transit agencies, a lot of municipalities are really interested in taking advantage of these services, even if it's just in an educational capacity, to get your staff or your team or the people that will be operating your electric fleet up to par on the educational piece there. Next slide, please. So again, you can submit your application, and we'll provide this link for you as well. But PG&E EV Fleet Advisory Services, you can look that up online. We'll actually also give you the link, and you can submit an application, and you can start working with an awesome advisor like myself and some of my colleagues today. So again, my name is Brandon Smith, one of the EV Fleet Advisors for PG&E. We look forward to working with you all, and happy electrifying. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Brandon. That was great. You know, this is one of our new exciting programs at PG&E. We're starting to see some good uptake on this program, but let's move over to something more tried and true. Jacob, you want to go ahead and take it away?
Sure. Thanks, Dean. Happy Thursday, everybody. So my name is Jacob Panichavital. I am an onboarding specialist with PG&E's EV Fleet program. So you've all heard about how Pat Carr and her full operations at Soltrans. So great operations. Thanks for that. All that useful and helpful information, Pat. So let's dive a little bit deep into the EV Fleet program and essentially explore the program that helped Pat and her team with this whole electrification efforts. Next slide, please. So the EV Fleet program is a ratepayer funded program that is at back in 2018, CPUC, California Public Utilities Commission, came to PG&E and said, hey, you got $236 million, go ahead and help your customers with fleet electrification efforts. So we've got one, initially the program was slated to end in 2024 because of COVID. We've got a couple of years of extension. So we are towards the last or ramping down stages of the program. We are down to our last 1 or 2% for regular commercial customer new applications. But just to let you know that there is a 15% set aside for transit agencies. So for folks who are from the transit agencies who are attending this webinar today, the time is not used. There's still funding, and I would urge you to go ahead and start considering this program and putting an application to the program as soon as possible. It is on a first come first serve basis. So just make sure that you start your process, start engaging with one of us or maybe with one of our advisors from the Fleet Advisory Program, and then later on with one of our onboarding specialists like myself and a couple of my other colleagues. All right. Next slide, please. All right. This slide kind of shows you all the vehicles that are eligible for the EV Fleet program. So on-road and off-road vehicles are eligible for the program. So like over here, you see medium-duty vehicles, heavy-duty vehicles, and again, off-road vehicles. So off-road vehicles like your forklifts, like your tractors, so the stuff, little small utility trucks, again, depending upon qualification and eligibility, which we can help you out. Those are those little small little vehicles that you use inside your yard or maybe your shop. Those are great vehicles or examples that you can electrify and eligible for the program. When I talk about medium duty vehicles, any vehicles more than 6,000 pounds GVWR, gross vehicle weight rating, would qualify for the program. So I know Brandon didn't mention 6,500, but just to let you know that this program we started back in 2018. So our standard for the threshold for entering into the program is a little lower. So just to let you know that that number is any vehicles more than 6,000 pounds GVWR would qualify for the program. So a great example, entry-level vehicle examples would be the Ford F-150 Lightning, the Chevy Silverado, and then all the way up to a Class 8 transit vehicle or a Class 8 truck. So all great examples. Things that do not qualify for the program are your light-duty passenger cars like your Teslas, your Chevys, your Bolts, your lawnmowers, your golf carts. Those do not qualify for the program. Again, just to let you know that it's not only transit vehicles that qualify for the EV fleet program. If you have service vehicles that are supporting your operations, like, you have a parts truck, you have a parts pickup, you have maybe a supervisor vehicle, any of those, your cutaway shuttles, all of those would qualify for the program as long as they are fully battery electric vehicles. All right, next slide, please. As part of the EV fleet program, the offering that we're doing is to help you with your free infrastructure upgrades, and we'll probably get that a little bit deep into the next slide. And then again, in addition to the offering the free infrastructure upgrades, we are going to be helping you out with incentives and rebates. And then again, as part of the service, again, we provide a white glove concierge service like Brandon was talking about. So again, typically a customer flow would be like they would apply to the EV Fleet Advisory Services program, and then depending upon eligibility and your operations, and we'll help you out, move you from the Fleet Advisory program into the EV Fleet Advisory. Many of you folks over here probably might be already familiar with that. So if you already know what are the vehicles and the chargers that you're planning to procure for your fleet electrification efforts, feel free to reach out to us and we can help you with the whole process. Next slide, please. All right, this particular slide is kind of shows you a high-level schematic about how the whole EV fleet program is kind of structured. As you can imagine, or as you can think about it, infrastructure is divided into 3 different sections over here. So the section here to the left of the screen that is shown in green is called a TTM, or to the meter. So basically all that infrastructure, so basically transmission poles, overhead lines, transformers, underground lines, all the way up to a new meter, that would be PG&E's responsibility. So PG&E will design, install, build, and maintain all of that infrastructure for free. So you can see all that heavy lifting is done by PG&E through the program. The portion behind the meter is basically the portion here in blue and orange over here. It would be customer owned. So that would be the responsibility of the customer. So let's focus on the portion here in blue. It's called BTM, or behind the meter. So for this portion, that typically includes electrical panels, switch gears, trenching, concreting, all the way up to the bottom of the charger. We would give incentives based on the vehicles that you are procuring. So basically, if you're going to get a Class 8 vehicle, like a transit bus, you're going to get $9,000 per vehicle. If you're going to get a forklift, you're going to get, or an off-road vehicle, you're going to get $3,000 per vehicle. If you're going to get a Class 2 to Class 7 vehicle, you're going to get $4,000 per vehicle. So again, your F-150s and your Chevy Silverados, all of those would get $4,000. Your forklifts that you potentially might be using in your shop, you'll be going to get $3,000. In addition to that, switching gears over here to the portion here in orange, that is the EVSE, or the charger. As a transit agency, you are eligible up to 50% of the cost of the charger in rebates. So at the end of the day, if you can take a step back, you would be, as a transit agency, you are eligible for money from all of these 3 different buckets. And the best part of the program is that you can combine this EV fleet program with all other state and federal programs. So basically you can stack these programs together. So there's a lot of programs out there, like CARB has a lot of programs. There is the CEC Energize programs. There is the Air Quality Management District programs. There is the federal funding. So all of that programs, you can combine this with the EV fleet program. In addition to this program, a couple of things that I'd like to mention is, you can combine this program with your solar panels also. So if you have any project that's if you're a transit agency, if you're thinking, hey, I can make utilize, and I think that's something that Pat and the Solar Transit is looking into, is you can combine the solar panel project along with this EV fleet project. All we ask is, let's finish up the EV fleet project, and then you start with your solar project. And again, we can help you with all of that question and help you answer all of those or guide you through that particular process. Just reach out to us. Another part of the program is, kind of we support within the confines of the program a little bit of future proofing. So in the event that you're not sure about, hey, how many vehicles that I'm going to get in the future, or we do allow some amount of switchgear oversizing. So that is also possible within the program. So in essence, this is a great program to start transitioning from your ICE vehicle or internal combustion engine vehicles over to electric vehicles. All right. Next slide, please. All right. Let's take a look at the eligibility criteria to participate in the program. So like Brandon said, you need to be a PG&E electric customer. It can also be a CCA. The second one is you can either own or lease a property. If you lease the property, all we ask is that you need to work with your property owner to help us get easement rights to the property so that PG&E can come in and perform our infrastructure upgrades. Number 3 is you need to commit to at least 2 vehicles over the course of next 5 years. So you can start your project right now and say, okay, hey, I'm going to get a couple of my vehicles starting in 2026, and then you can start adding more vehicles all the way up till 2029. The minimum criteria is, again, you need to deploy at least 2 vehicles by June of 2028. Yeah, and you can obviously add more vehicles in 2029, but then that is the minimum criteria, especially since we are kind of on sunsetting the program. And then again, you can tell us how many you can help when you start the application. There are some flexibilities within the program, right? So again, let's say you are going with initially, if you're not sure about the particular brand of vehicles that you're going to get, you can start with when you start the application, you can say with application, you can start off by saying brand A, and then later on, if you have to switch over to brand B, that's totally possible. So there are a little bit of flexibilities in the program. And then again, the part of where we come in and provide that white glove service, like Brandon was saying, is that we have worked with a lot of these transit agencies, and we've got a lot of projects under our belt. We can help you make those decisions and provide you with guidelines and recommendations. The last requirement is obviously agree to all requirements or all our T's and C's. So one of the biggest things is, there is a 10-year commitment. So the expectation is that you are going to be owning and operating all of this vehicle and hardware for the course of the next 10 years. Again, which is not a big ask. Because once you go electric, I don't think most folks are going to switch back over to gas vehicles. And we do anticipate that for whatever reason, during the course of 10 years, that you need to replace a vehicle or a charger, that is totally fine. All we ask is you replace for a similar kind. The other requirement is there is a 5-year commitment to provide EV usage data. So basically, CPUC, who's funding the program, would like to know how customers are charging these vehicles or how they're operating these vehicles. So we're going to be basically collecting that information and passing it over to CPUC. There's no personal information will be transmitted. It's just going to be longitude, latitude, type of charger, how many kilowatts per day or hour, all of that information. Again, once you set up the chargers and set up your EVSP or EV service providers, it is an automatic operation. So basically, we will directly work with your EVSP and obtain that data. So there's really, you don't need to have an extra business analyst or or another headcount to pull the data or crunch the data, any of that. That is done all automatically behind the scenes. All right, next slide, please. All right, when you're ready to apply, 3 things that we need from you. So we need your vehicle deployment plan. So basically, saying that, hey, 2026, just as an example, 2026, I'm going to deploy 2 transit vehicles, 2 transit buses. 2027, I'm going to be deploying 2 cutaway buses. 2028, I'm going to get 2 F-150s. So 2029, maybe no vehicles at all. That's totally fine. So, or you can add vehicles. So you can just, all we need is your vehicle deployment for the next 5 years. Similarly, Number two is we would also need your charger deployment plan for the next 5 years. So what are the chargers that you're planning to deploy for each of the vehicles that you're going to be adding to your fleet? All we ask is, again, you need to select from an approved product list of chargers, and then we can go into details later on and I can share more details if you're interested. And the third part over here to start your application, again, is a map of the EV charger location on the property. Again, that's something that we can help you out with. Items 4 to 7 is more like FYI, so just make sure you secure and you plan for out-of-pocket costs, leadership approval, proof of vehicle procurement, and permission from the property owner if you're leasing the property. Okay. Next slide, please. All right, just quickly go over this slide over here. This just kind of shows you the process and the timeline for a typical EV fleet project. So on the left over here, we have site evaluation, and towards the right, we have final design execution. So step number 1 is where you will be submitting an application. At step number 2, we will do a phone screen. So basically within 10 days, we are going to call you up and say, hey, please confirm the vehicle and the chargers that you've deployed. That is an opportunity to kind of change your vehicle or charger if there are any changes. Step number 3, we ask that you start your conversations or you start engaging with an electrical contractor or an engineering firm to help you with your BTM work. So that's the portion that I was talking in our previous slide, the blue portion that you are responsible for. That's basically trenching, conduiting your chargers, a lot of that infrastructure that, again, that you'll be responsible for. So we want you to have that we want you to start that early engagement with those electrical engineering or contracting firms. Step number 4 is where we do capacity check. So basically we ask the grid planner, hey, grid planner, do we have capacity to help the particular customer with this amount of power? Step number 5 is where we do a site walk. Step number 6 is where we do project approval. Step number 7 is where we issue a contract to you. So basically, or a couple of my colleagues will be the main point of contact, depending upon who you're engaging, from step number 1 to 7, and that can take typically anywhere from 3 to 5 months. Once you sign the contract and we countersign, we will be handing you over to a construction project manager, and again, that is at the part of where we were providing that white glove concierge services to you. So this will be a PG&E construction project manager. So Pat was talking about Kevin Chang, who was a project manager for the Soltron project. So you will have one dedicated person who will try and manage all that communication between yourself, the PG&E folks, and your contractor to try and make sure that there's smooth execution of the project. So step number 8 we ask is that you start engaging with electrical contractor and start hiring them and start working with them and getting your permits, ordering your switch gears, all of that. Number 9 is where we will be finishing up our design. Step number 10 is where you would be finishing up your portion of the work. That is the BTM and the EVSE. It is not until you finish up your portion of the work is that we will come in and later on finish up our portion of the work. So number 11 is where we could come in, where we roll in the blue PG&E trucks and finish up the PG&E portion of the work. Number 12 is done on service. 13 is commission the chargers. Step number 14 is where you'll be sending us copies of your out-of-pocket receipts, and we will issue a check for the amount that we agreed in step number 7 in the contract. Overall, the process can take anywhere from 9 to 18 months. So that's one of the reasons we ask is you start engaging your utility in the as soon as possible if you are planning for fleet electrification efforts. Next slide, please. As part of the process, going back to my slide on the infrastructure, you did see or I did mention about a special separate meter. So in the event that you are getting a separate meter, you are eligible for the business EV rate or the BEV rate. So a couple of caveats for that. It needs to be a separate meter, and you can only hook up EVSEs or chargers to that meter. So there cannot be no other load on that meter. So you cannot have any building load, no wells, no lighting, none of those loads on there, but it has to be strictly charger loads, and you would be eligible for the special BEV rate. There's a link at the bottom over here, and I urge you to go ahead and get more information on this BEV rate. Next slide, please. The last tool that we have here that we offer as part of our services is the EV Fleet Savings Calculator. So for decision makers, for your board, or to help them with the numbers, right? That is something that's a great tool. So if you go to fleets.pge.com, you're going to find this fuel savings calculator. Next slide, please. So like I was mentioning, this is a preloaded example. So I've listed all my vehicles. So it's the left side, a combination of Class 8 and Class 2 vehicles. And then you can just put in your number of miles, your operations, and it's going to spit out an approximate fossil fuel cost. And, obviously the blue, the yellow is the battery electric vehicle cost, and your savings are in that green portion over here. So super helpful tool for decision makers. Next slide, please. Again, the same tool will give you an approximate monthly electricity cost that you will be paying. So for budgetary planning, this is another great tool. Highly urge everybody to take a look at it. Next slide, please. For folks who are not aware of this, one of an alternative revenue stream for transit agencies or for any customers is LCFS. LCFS stands for Low Carbon Fuel Standards. This is a program that is administered by CARB, California Air Resources Board, and not by PG&E. So basically, the essence of the program is based in California. If you are going to be emitting carbon into the atmosphere by operating a gasoline vehicle, you need to pay a tax for that. But in the event you are going to be operating a battery electric vehicle that does not emit carbon into the atmosphere, you are going to be getting credits for that. Basically, you can take those credits, you can go to the open market and monetize those credits. So again, like I was mentioning, this is a huge revenue stream for customers, or for customers who are trying to go into battery electric vehicles. So again, program administered by CARB, and we can share links, and there's links on our website to help you with the program. All right, next slide, please. And I think that kind of brings us to the end of the EV Fleet program, and I will hand it over to Dean.
Yeah, thank you, Jacob. Appreciate that. Can we have the presenters all turn on their cameras and microphones? So at this portion of our webinar, this is the most interesting part. This is where you get to ask questions of the presenters. So I've unmuted your mics from my side. If you have a question, unmute yourself and go ahead and ask the presenter. Or if you want, you can also put it into the chat.
Hey, this is Jacob from Mendocino Transit. Hey, can the EV Fleet program be amended once it's already started?
So again, that depends. So can you share more specifics?
Adding more chargers, receiving more buses. Say we started with 2 chargers and now we've got 5 buses on the way, and I need, 5 more chargers or such.
Yeah, so Jake, to answer your question, yeah, that is definitely something that we can look into. Again, adding more chargers would mean, we have to go back to the grid planner and ask for more capacity. So that is, changing the scope of the contract, but, obviously, it supports the spirit of the program, right? So we're definitely adding more chargers and more vehicles, and that's going to ensure a cleaner environment. So, that is something that we can definitely look into and work with you on that. But yeah, that definitely, again, I don't want to say an answer, yes or no answer to that. So again, it kind of depends upon the scope of the modification.
Thank you, Jacob.
So Jacob, one of the things to consider is how far are we on your project? Have we already gone into final design? Because PG&E already has a lot invested. So that's where we need to work with the program manager to see how do we address this? Is it something possible? Because we really don't want to go back and have to keep redoing stuff. Otherwise, we'll never get the project done. But we are entertaining updates from our customers. We have kind of a set of rules. If you're getting more buses, then potentially you can get more chargers. It depends on where we are in that journey. So work with your project manager, and they will contact the program manager for the EV fleet program and give insight on that. Okay.
Good. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks, Jacob. I see we got a hand up from Moses.
Yeah, thank you, Dean. Just want to comment, a very good presentation. I recommend highly that individuals that are ready to take advantage of this do so. The reason being, FCRTA has been working with PG&E the last couple of years, and as a matter of fact, this week we have a crew that is connecting the transformer for the chargers that we have in Fresno, well, Selma, California, and 32 chargers, one level 3, and 31 level 2 chargers. And it's a very interesting and complex project, in our opinion, because it includes battery energy management systems and solar as well. And PG&E has been very accommodating, both on-site and off-site. And I have to commend you, Dean. The subcontractors, outsource and VPI, have been excellent, and we've had great responses. And there's some flexibility with PG&E as long as they review your engineered plans and work with you so that they can accommodate you to the best of their ability. And ours was very challenging because we have a building with a separate switchgear, separate transformer, and we also have a gas generator backup along with solar panels in a ponding basin, which requires separate things, and also compliance with Rule 15 and 16. And then to top it off, we go ahead and put in 32 chargers, and that requires a separate switchgear, as well as a separate meter. And again, PG&E reviewed all our engineered plans. And this week, we're finishing up, Dean. So thank you very much. I can't recommend this program enough, and hopefully we'll be able to provide you some information once it's complete, and invite you to our ribbon cutting and give you some slides with regard to that. And we invite anybody to our facility to tour it as well once it's complete. So it's more of a compliment to PG&E on this program and the process. And I go back to that first slide by the presenter. Be patient, okay? And that's an understatement. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your input, Moses. We're hoping to have a couple more of these webinars this year on a quarterly basis. I would certainly invite you to present like Pat did for us here today, if you would like to be on one of the upcoming webinars. And that way you can tell everyone about the journey that you took, and the good, the bad, and everything in between.
Yeah.
And be patient. Thank you.
And be patient, like Pat said. Yeah, good. Any more questions? Or feedback, you know? Did you like what you heard here from Brandon about our new fleet advisory service? What are your thoughts about the EV fleet program? As Jacob said, it does support you connecting solar to the system. We still need to collect the 5 years worth of charging information. So the chargers need to be smart chargers. You can't have forklifts with dumb chargers and connect solar, because then we're blinded. We can't see anything from the meter. So provided you've got all network capable chargers, yeah, you can connect solar into that system. Otherwise, you'll need to wait for 5 years so we collect that data for the California Public Utility Commission. And why are we collecting the data? Because they want to do more programs, right? So we have to show them that you're actually utilizing the infrastructure that they're helping pay for. I see a lot of names on here that I recognize. Anyone else?
So, for folks that have questions later on, you could also send it to us so we can forward that to the PG&E team and also maybe to Pat specifically. Depends on what type of the questions are, and the presentation will be posted soon on our ARB's website. I thought that we were recording this webinar, did we?
I think it is being recorded. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So this webinar is also recorded and will also be posted on our website pretty soon. So please just feel free to go back to visit if you missed some of the details today. So if we don't have any other questions, I want to give a special shout out to PG&E team and also to Sochen one more time. Thank you so much for your help here, and we look forward to the next one in the next quarter. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.